Part 44. I changed my profession and became a concept god, shocking the world with one knife. Author, How Like the Human World. Chapter 431. Where is Dongshan Tianlao? Take me there. Suren only had this simple sentence. I will lead the way, can you spare my life? Do you think you have the qualifications to bargain with me? Lu Jin looked bitter and whispered, follow me. Even if he swears to die and refuses to obey, it will be in vain. There are still so many people in Dongshan City. If Suren doesn't arrest him, he will arrest others for questioning. I may not be qualified to enter the Dongshan Heavenly Prison. This is a place managed by the prison department. The 6 departments of the empire are independent and do not interfere with each other. I cannot use my power to suppress them. I can only try my best to see if I can get in. I don't need you to be qualified to enter, just lead the way. Lu Jin nodded and led the way, while Suren followed him. A few minutes later, the two arrived at the outskirts of Dongshan City. This is the location of Dongshan Tianlao, the 3 major Tianlao of Emperor Star. The Tianlao here covers a much larger area than the Biwa Tianlao. It is also the same bunker-shaped structure, and each bunker is a sky prison. The number of heavenly prisons here, just by visual inspection, is dozens. Who is this? This is an important place in the prison. Leave quickly. Not long after the two arrived, 2 patrol teams came over. I am Lu Jin, Minister of Defense, and I want to see your warden. Lu Jin took out an ID card and showed it. The 2 teams immediately saluted upon seeing this. Sir, wait a moment, we will inform the warden. After all, Lu Jin is one of the 6 ministers. Although he is not their immediate boss, they still dare not neglect him. After a while, a middle-aged man with a cold expression walked out. After looking at Lu Jin and Suren, the cold man asked. Master Lu, what's the matter with coming to our Dongshan Tianlao? Lu Jin looked back at Suren, then turned around and said. We want to ask Li Shaobai about something. He is the man who was caught by the defense forces when he caused trouble outside the Emperor Star 30 years ago. I'm sorry, Mr. Lu, do you have the access order from Minister Zhao? If not, you can't enter. No, but it will be available soon. With a casual grab, Suren captured the warden of Dongshan Tianlao. Tell me, where is Li Shaobai detained? If there weren't too many prisons here, Suren wouldn't have to go to such trouble. Unexpectedly, Lu Jin was so powerful that he couldn't even enter the prison. Let go of the warden. The warden was arrested, and thousands of prison guards rushed out in an instant. Various mecha cannons were aimed at Suren and Lu Jin at the same time. Master Lu, do you want to force your way into the prison? The warden was not afraid. He thought this was what Lu Jin ordered Suren to do. Lu Jin smiled bitterly and said nothing. The warden still wanted to speak, but suddenly his head felt blurry. His mouth unconsciously revealed all the information Suren wanted to know. Li Shaobai is imprisoned in cell number 501 on the 5th floor of number 12 Heavenly Prison. Looking at the appearance of the warden of Dongshan Tianlao, Lu Jin felt cold all over. What method did Suren use to make people speak the truth? Aren't there no secrets in front of him? Suren got the answer he wanted and continued to order. Lead the way. Yes. The warden staggered forward. Upon seeing this, the Tianlao guards came over and killed them. The order they received was that no one was allowed to enter this place without permission. Well. Lu Jin sighed, knowing that none of these people would survive. You might be able to survive if you run away, but if you rush forward, you're going to die. Keng. When the sound of the knife sounded, there was clarity between heaven and earth. There were sounds of falling to the ground, and those who dared to rush forward were all killed. After the warden walked with Suren for a while, he stopped at the door of a prison with the number 12 printed on it. This time, with him leading the way, Suren could enter the prison without using a sword. In prison number 12, the jailer guarding there had long heard the sirens outside and knew someone had broken in. However, the noise outside quickly died down. They thought they had dealt with the trespassers and did not take it to heart. After all, this is Dongshan Tianlao. Who dares to come here and cause trouble? When they saw the warden coming in, they immediately bowed and saluted. I've met the warden. Go to the 5th floor. Yes. Although the jailer was a little confused as to why the warden seemed to be in a bad state today, he did not dare to say anything more. Under the leadership of a group of jailers, Suren successfully reached the 5th floor of the prison. In the black cage, only a little dim light shone in. Suren could barely see the people inside. In the corner of the cage, a man with disheveled hair and a gray prison uniform was sitting cross-legged with his eyes closed. There are 5 super alloy chains locked on his limbs and neck. 2 pipa bones are penetrated, and there are 2 super alloy chains locked on them. Each super alloy chain has some runes engraved on it. Senior Sword God. Suren called softly. The people inside opened their eyes when they heard the sound, and suddenly looked at Suren. You. He hadn't heard this title for a long time. How could the person brought by the warden use the honorific title of senior with this criminal? Then he seemed to remember something, and his eyes burst into unprecedented light. However, he was outnumbered and eventually killed tens of thousands of people outside the Emperor's Star before being injured and imprisoned in this dark sky prison. Suren, can you save them by the way? Ha ha ha, good kill. It's you. Alas, we can't escape the clutches of the Sky and Sky Empire after all. After that ray of consciousness was consumed, the memory returned to his mind. Suren. The sword god murmured. Suren ignored him and cut open the cage holding the sword god with one knife. Good. At this time, the leading jailers felt something was wrong when they heard the conversation between the two. After practicing silently for several years, someone finally discovered that his identity was abnormal. He had to carry his sword and fight his way out of the Northern Territory to the Emperor's Star. Why were you arrested too? Junior Suren, I have met my senior. Suren, you. Suren cut off the chains on his body. One person and one sword killed Blue Star and first came to the Northern Territory. At that time, he was young, frivolous, and extremely talented. He originally thought that Suren was also caught, but he never expected that Suren came to save him. Several jailers also wanted to ask about Suren's identity. You. Go out first and then talk. Senior Sword God, let me rescue you. In the cage next to him, a strong man laughed loudly and watched the scene happily. The sword god pointed at the surrounding cages, including the big man he had just called out. The sword god remembered that the ray of consciousness he left on Blue Star was obtained by this young man. The next second, as the sword light flashed, several people's bodies went limp and fell down. The sword god was still in a dazed state at this time. He thought that Suren had been caught after he came out of Blue Star, and he couldn't help but feel desperate in his heart. The sword god thought Suren was in a hurry. He also knew that this was the Dongshan Heavenly Prison, and it would be dangerous to stay there for even 1 second longer. It's been so long that I almost forgot that I have such a title. They are actually not bad. They were all forced by the Sky Empire. I changed my profession and became a concept god, shocking the world with one knife. Author, How Like the Human World. Chapter 432. Besides, with them, we will have a helper when we break out. Suren nodded upon hearing this. But he didn't do it to get a few more helpers, he just wanted to save them. Because he doesn't need help. Is there anyone else who needs saving? I can get them out together. Suren cut off the cage pointed by the sword god with one stroke of his sword. The sword god shook his head. These are the only people he can come into contact with. He didn't know the virtues of the people detained in other places. Haha, good boy, thank you very much. What material is your knife made of? It can actually cut through the super alloy cage and chain engraved with runes. As soon as the big man came out, he looked at the knife in Suren's hand in surprise. Thank you, young hero, for the rescue. The others came out and bowed to Suren to express their gratitude. Without Suren, they would never be able to get out in this life. In the end, they will all be reduced to experimental tools for the Sky and Sky Empire. The reason why the Sky and Sky Empire did not execute them was to keep more powerful people like them to do their scientific experiments. Little brother, save me, I can give you a big opportunity. In the cell in the corner, an old man saw that Suren could easily rescue so many people, so he couldn't help but stand up and stick to the edge of the cell to ask for help. Suren, don't believe him. This man was imprisoned because of his murderous nature. Li Shaobai. Upon hearing this, the old man immediately stared at the sword god fiercely, his eyes filled with anger. Suren ignored the old man and said to everyone, "Let's get out." Good. Several people nodded and followed Suren closely to the upper level of the Tianlao. As for the warden, Suren threw him into the cage. Ah! Li Shaobai, you must die a happy death. When the old man saw Suren and others leaving, he immediately roared. Several people came to the first floor. The jailer guarding the place saw that Suren led so many prisoners out but did not see the warden. Take out your weapon immediately and take action. Naturally, Suren was killed with a knife. The sword god and others had a better understanding of Suren's strength. At first, they thought it was Suren's sword that was powerful, but these jailers were not ordinary people. The fact that Suren couldn't sustain even a single blow showed that Suren's own strength was not simple. Suren, I haven't asked yet, who is this? The sword god looked at Lu Jin, who had been following Suren and dared not speak, and couldn't help but curiously asked. He always felt that he had seen this person somewhere, but he couldn't remember. Several others felt the same way. Oh, him, the Minister of Defense of the Aerospace Empire. After hearing this, several people almost fell to the ground with their legs weak. What? Several people looked at Lu Jin, some wondering whether to leave or not. They finally knew why they looked familiar to this man. They were captured by the Air and Space Defense Force. Doesn't it look familiar? Let's go, don't worry about him, he's just leading the way, he's not a big shot. Suren looked indifferent. To him, Lu Jin was just a prisoner who came to lead the way. In his opinion, he was indeed not a big shot. Ah! When several people heard this, they became even more frightened. Isn't this a big shot? This is one of the most powerful people in the Sky and Sky Empire. If these are not big people, then what kind of people are big people? The Sky Emperor? Several people followed Suren outside fearfully and looked at the bodies lying on the ground outside. They finally understood why Suren didn't rush out all the way. There was no one outside, so why should he panic? Suren, you didn't come here specifically to save me, right? The sword god looked at Suren's calm look and already made some guesses. Suren nodded. I heard about you on the way, so I stopped by. On the way. I broke into the Dongshan Heavenly Prison along the way. Several others were already numb. They knew that Suren was definitely not pretending, he was really along for the ride. Then what are you here for? The sword god was a little curious. Oh, it's nothing. I'm just here to cause trouble for the Sky Emperor, and to overthrow the Sky Empire. Thump. Lu Jin's legs went weak and she knelt down. What did he hear? Suren came to Emperor Star to cause trouble for His Majesty. He also wants to overthrow the Sky Empire. No wonder Suren killed them as easily as he killed a chicken. His target turned out to be His Majesty. He is the Sky Emperor who is like a god in the eyes of the people of the Sky Empire. Thump. Another person fell to the ground. No. I can't do it anymore. My heart is about to beat out. Has Emperor Kongtian gone crazy and his cultivation has been greatly reduced? Or was he seriously injured and died soon? Haha, look at how scared you are, Suren is just joking at first sight. The big man patted his chest and smiled. I'm not joking, I'm going to the imperial capital right away. If you want to go, you can go and see it together. If you don't want to go, you can go to the Biwa restricted area of the Northern Territory and tell me your name. The monsters there will not harm you. Suren, are you really not joking? The sword god frowned, obviously he couldn't believe what Suren said. Senior, don't worry, I'm measured. You guys go to the Northern Territory first. Seeing their appearance, Suren did not dare to go to the imperial capital, so he could only send them to the Northern Territory. Suren glanced at Lujin, who was kneeling on the ground, and said coldly, if you don't want to die, help me send them to Biwastar in the Northern Territory. Suren was still a little worried. If he regretted and escaped halfway, Sword God and the others would definitely not be his match. Just in case, Suren simply used his animal trapping skills to capture him. After a while, Lujin stood up, bowed and said, yes, Master, I promise to complete the mission. When the sword gods and others saw this, there was a hint of horror in their eyes. Puppetry. Several people were not sure. After all, people controlled by puppetry tend to be sluggish, but Lujin doesn't look sluggish on the surface. He is still the same person, but his attitude towards Suren has obviously changed from fear to absolute obedience. This made them more and more curious about Suren. Go ahead. Yes, Master. Lujin waved his hand, and the small boat suddenly appeared in front of several people. Guys, please. Lujin looked at the sword god and the others. Suren, I can't help you with anything, just be careful. The sword god waved his hand and stepped onto the small boat with the rest of the people. Under Lujin's control, the boat turned into a bolt of lightning and flew towards the sky. The remaining sky guards outside the Emperor's star are Lujin's people. It is naturally very easy for them to leave. After seeing off a few people, Suren flew towards the teleportation array. Next stop, the imperial capital. However, what Suren didn't know was that when he first arrived at Dongshan Tianlao, the Dragon Emperor had already arrived at the imperial capital. At this time, the Dragon Emperor was standing over the palace. A group of forbidden troops guarding the palace had fallen at his feet. In the imperial capital, after hearing the news, many ministers hurriedly took people to the direction of the palace to rescue him. Although the Sky Emperor did not need their rescue, he still had to do it. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. I changed my profession and became a concept god, shocking the world with one knife. Author, How Like the Human World. Chapter 433. Who is this man? How dare he fly above the palace? On the street outside the palace, everyone looked at the Dragon Emperor standing in the sky and talked about it. Don't he know that no one is allowed to fly above the palace? I think he is tired of living. Where is the Imperial Army? Why didn't the Imperial Army take action to knock him down? One person explained. You came too late. The Imperial Army had already taken action, but with so many people dead, the rest didn't dare to take action again. Does anyone know who he is? Where did he have the courage to kill someone under His Majesty's eyes? While everyone was discussing, the ministers also rushed over. Basically all the ministers from the 6 ministries are here, this man can't escape. Hey, if you dare to cause trouble in the imperial capital, or in the palace, 100 heads won't be enough for him to lose. But things were a bit unexpected. Zhao Changheng, the director of the prison department in the 6th department, frowned immediately after seeing Dragon Emperor. Dragon Emperor, what do you mean? Dragon Emperor? When they heard this name, the expressions of those who had heard of it suddenly changed. This person is a real expert in the upper 9 realms. The body is a real dragon. Even His Majesty could only use the immortal treasure to fight with him. No wonder he dared to break into the palace and killed so many forbidden soldiers. The Dragon Emperor glanced at Zhao Changheng. He didn't pay attention to such a small role at all. The Dragon Emperor set his sights on the Zixiao Palace deep inside the palace and said coldly, "Kong Tian, hand over Suran, I will leave now. If not, your imperial capital will be filled with blood." The Dragon Emperor's voice shook the heavens and exploded in everyone's ears like thunder. "Dragon Emperor, you are too presumptuous. Your Majesty is in a stable state, how can you allow you to make noise here?" Zhao Changheng roared angrily, raised his sword and went to kill him. "Noisy! Are you worthy of fighting with me?" The Dragon Emperor casually slapped it with his palm. The blue frost handprint pressed towards Zhao Changheng. Zhao Changheng tried to resist, but it was in vain. The strength gap between the two sides was too big. He has no power to fight in front of the Dragon Emperor. "Humph, you might as well be Hong Yan. Just practice for 2 more years before you come back." Boom! Zhao Changheng was pressed to the ground and could not move. When the people watching the battle saw this, they immediately dispersed. Even the director of the prison department was easily suppressed by the Dragon Emperor. If a fight really broke out, they would probably be slapped to death by someone. But watching theater is human nature. What's more, it's a battle between top experts. After running far away and feeling safe, these people continued to watch. "People are attacking us right at our doorstep, why doesn't your Majesty take action? Your Majesty, isn't he afraid? Are you looking for death? How dare you say that His Majesty will be afraid? His Majesty is just consolidating his position and cannot free his hands. Just watch, His Majesty will be coming out soon. This Dragon Emperor can't be arrogant for much longer." Everyone stared at the sky intently, for fear of missing a second. Empty sky. The Dragon Emperor's voice sounded again. This time it was even more penetrating than the last time. Everyone covered their ears and looked at the Dragon Emperor in the sky in disbelief. Just this shout was almost too much for them to bear. Ouch! A dragon roar sounded in Zixiao Palace. Then 9 golden dragons broke through the roof of Zixiao Palace and rushed towards the Dragon Emperor in the air. The 9 transformations of the Divine Dragon. "Kong Tian, do you think it's useful to use my Dragon Clan's ways to deal with me?" The Dragon Emperor swatted away all 9 golden dragons with one palm. "You won't know until you try it to see if it's useful or not. Dragon Emperor, long time no see." The figure of the Sky Emperor appeared above the palace, confronting the Dragon Emperor in the sky. After the two met, their momentum continued to rise. The palace below was so close that it collapsed under the pressure. The buildings near the palace were also crumbling under the pressure of these two forces. A flying bird passed by from a distance, and as soon as it flew within the pressure range of the two people, it exploded into a ball of blood mist. The people in the imperial capital who were watching the battle from a distance had their faces flushed and were trying their best to resist the two pressures. If they hadn't been far away, the flying birds would have been their fate. Terrible! Is this the strength of a strong man in the upper 9th realm? It seems that His Majesty and the Dragon Emperor have not exhausted all their strength and are just testing. Otherwise, even with the protection of the array, the entire Emperor Star may collapse. The palace was now in ruins, and the imperial guards who had not had time to escape were crushed to death in the ruins by the pressure of the two men. "Kong Tian, it seems that your realm has been stabilized." The Dragon Emperor withdrew his pressure, and a look of fear flashed in his eyes. Now that the two of them are in the same realm, and Kong Tian has an immortal treasure, it will be difficult for him to defeat Kong Tian. Dragon Emperor, your strength has not improved much over the years. The Sky Emperor also withdrew his pressure at this time. The Dragon Emperor was silent for a moment after hearing this. He couldn't find his son, so he was disheartened, and his strength really didn't improve much. But now that his son is back, he has regained his confidence. I am not here today to discuss with you who is strong and who is weak. Hand over Suran, and I will leave on my own. When the Dragon Emperor passed outside the Emperor Star, he already knew from the air defense force he captured that Suran had entered the Emperor Star. He thought Suran had failed in challenging Kong Tian and had been imprisoned. He still knew something about the human experiments conducted secretly by the Sky and Sky Empire. Especially powerful people will not be executed immediately after being caught by them, but will be locked up for experiments. Suran? I don't know Suran. Emperor Kongtian didn't know who Suran the Dragon Emperor was talking about. When the Dragon Emperor saw this, he couldn't help but frown. There is no need to lie to people like Kongtian. Suran came to Emperor Star, so where did the others go? The Dragon Emperor thought for a while but couldn't figure out the result. Little did he know that Suran didn't know where the imperial capital was and was traveling from city to city. In that case, farewell. After the Dragon Emperor finished speaking, he turned around and left. Wait. Emperor Kongtian said unhurriedly. Dragon Emperor, you came to my palace to provoke me and killed so many of my forbidden troops. Are you leaving now? The Dragon Emperor heard this and said coldly. Haha, when you went to my restricted area, you also killed my demon clan children. This emperor is here to collect some interest. Okay, in that case, let's have another fight. You must take this battle. After the Sky Emperor finished speaking, he took the lead. 9 golden dragons flew with him, killing the Dragon Emperor. In the sky above the entire imperial capital, the roar of dragons could be heard endlessly. Humph, are you afraid? The Dragon Emperor also killed him, and the surrounding sky and earth suddenly started to snow. 2 unparalleled powerful men fought together in the sky above the imperial capital. The fight really started. I don't know who can win. I must observe the battle between these powerful men. This is definitely a rare opportunity for them to gain insights. This kind of battle is something you can only encounter but cannot ask for. I changed my profession and became a concept god, shocking the world with one knife. Author, How Like the Human World. Chapter 434. Emperor Kongtian has 9 golden dragons flying around him, which is a sign that he has mastered the 9 transformations of the dragon. Each of these golden dragons possesses the power to shake the heavens and the earth. Ordinary people can't even withstand the power of one golden dragon, let alone 9 together. The Dragon Emperor did not practice any martial arts. As a dragon, he cultivated the innate magical powers that the dragons had. The Ice Dragon clan controls the power of ice and snow. After the 2 exchanged palms in the air, they each stepped back 50 steps. Dragon Emperor, you haven't shown your true body yet? Do you want to use this transformed body to fight me? Unnecessary. The Dragon Emperor snorted coldly, the temperature of the entire world dropped sharply, and pieces of snowflakes began to fall. The imperial capital immediately turned into a world of ice and snow. Heavy snow fell from the sky. In just a moment, the imperial capital became a snow capital. It's snowing. Everyone watching the battle in the imperial capital looked up at the snowflakes in the sky, and couldn't help but look shocked. The Dragon Emperor single-handedly changed the entire world. Everyone, be careful, these snowflakes are very sharp. Someone exclaimed and covered the blood stains on his face with his hands. The snowflakes fell and cut their skin like blades. They are not ordinary people without any cultivation, and this snowflake is not an ordinary snowflake either. At this time, the heavy snow between the sky and the earth was getting heavier and heavier. The Dragon Emperor held it with one hand, and the world froze into ice crystals. Then the ice crystals shattered, and countless ice crystals shot towards the Sky Emperor like sharp arrows. When Emperor Kongtian saw this, 9 golden dragons protected him in front of him. He did not move even half a step and allowed the thousands of ice blades to attack him. There was a vast expanse of ice and snow between the sky and the earth, and there was no other sound except the sound of the ice blade that was constantly shattering as it hit the golden dragon. Dragon Emperor, today I will convince you that you have lost. Ouch! A series of passionate dragon roars sounded. 9 blazing golden dragons shattered thousands of ice blades and restored the imperial capital that was originally a world of ice and snow. The snow is melting. Look, His Majesty has taken action. The 9 golden dragons are like 9 suns, melting the world of ice and snow. The earth, mountains, rivers, trees, etc. are reappearing, and the sky and earth are no longer monotonous white. The Dragon Emperor finally understood at this time that this was no longer the empty sky last time. He and he were already in the same realm. This place limits you and me, let's fight in the sky. The Dragon Emperor transformed into his true form, and a giant snow-white dragon tens of thousands of meters long traversed the sky above the imperial capital. The entire imperial capital was shrouded in its shadow. Oh my God! Is this the Dragon Emperor's true form? This is too big. Can Your Majesty win? The people watching the battle in the imperial capital couldn't help but worry about Emperor Kongtian. The demon clan is much more powerful than the human race, not to mention the dragon clan, the top existence among the demon clan. Compared to magic, the physical body is what the dragon clan is proud of. The Dragon Emperor glanced at the Sky Emperor and flew straight towards the sky. Okay. I will fight happily with you today. This is not the Biwa restricted area. Without that kind of powerful restricted protection, their battle would destroy the planet. The Dragon Emperor did not want to commit such a crime, and the Sky Emperor would naturally not harm his own people. 9 golden dragons hovered around Emperor Kongtian and flew with him into the sky. Everyone looked at the man and the dragon disappearing at the end of the sky, and couldn't help but feel a little disappointed. Oh, it's such a pity that I can't see the real showdown between the two. A young man said doubtfully. Why are they going to the outer world? Can anyone tell me? An old man shook his head and sighed. Your Majesty and the Dragon Emperor are both peerless experts in the upper 9th realm. If there really is a battle in the sky above the imperial capital, not to mention the imperial capital, the entire imperial star will be affected by their battle. I don't know how many people will die in the aftermath of their battle. Is it so scary? The old man nodded. If you are not afraid of death, you can follow him and have a look. Remember not to get too close, just barely able to see his figure. When the old man spoke, countless rays of light were already flying towards the sky in the imperial capital. These are the people who want to watch the battle. That's such a pity. I would like to go, but I haven't reached the upper 5 realms, and I don't have a sky armor, so I can't fly in the universe. The people who couldn't go to Tianyi gradually dispersed, and those who could go to Tianyi flew all the way to Tianyi. Oh, I can only go home and wait for other people's video recordings. As soon as the young man shook his head and walked home, a hand was put on his shoulder. What were you looking at just now? Do you know where the Sky Emperor has gone? After Suren arrived in the imperial capital, he rushed to the imperial palace as quickly as possible. Only to find that this place has long been in ruins. Looking around, there was nothing. Suren only found the crowd that had dispersed. From time to time, there are figures flying into the sky in the imperial capital. Who are you? The young man frowned and glanced at Suren. I have something urgent to do with your majesty. Do you know where he went? Suren asked again. Ah. You are looking for his majesty, is there something urgent? Are you okay with your mind? Looking at Suren, who was younger than himself, the young man thought that Suren was mentally ill and was talking nonsense. Hey, Why don't you just listen if you speak up? You insist on forcing me to follow my words. Suren found that this skill was not without consumption. Every time he used it, he felt that his mental energy was a little less. The greater the influence of words, the more mental energy is consumed. If you want to control a high-level strong man with words and magic, the consumption of mental power will be even more terrifying. So when Suren can speak well, he basically doesn't have to speak out. After the young man was controlled, he spoke honestly. After learning that the Dragon Emperor actually came to the Emperor Star and started a fight with the Kongtian Emperor, Suren was a little confused. Why does the Dragon Emperor want to fight with your majesty? The young man responded dully, the Dragon Emperor initially asked your majesty to hand over a man named Suren. Your majesty does not know this person, but in order to prove his strength, he took the initiative to fight with the Dragon Emperor. Where did they go? Tny. After Suren heard this, he turned into a stream of light and flew towards the sky. The Dragon Emperor must have heard that he had come to the Emperor Star to cause trouble for the Kongtian Emperor, and he was worried that he was no match for the Kongtian Emperor, so he chased after him. It's just that the place where he landed was too remote, which caused the Dragon Emperor to reach the imperial capital first. Thinking of this, Suren speeded up. If the Dragon Emperor had any shortcomings, I would really feel sorry for him. Outside the Emperor Star, after Suren came out, he met a group of people looking around. Where did they go? Suren looked into the starry sky and found no trace, so he asked the people around him. I don't know. We arrived late and couldn't match His Majesty and the Dragon Emperor's speed, so we lost track of them. But I saw someone flying in that direction. Just when everyone was confused, a powerful wave of power came from the right side of everyone. Everyone looked happy after feeling this power. This power can be transmitted across the vacuum of the universe. It must have been caused by His Majesty's battle with the Dragon Emperor. Over there. The crowd swarmed away, and Suren quickly flew towards the direction where the power fluctuation came from. I changed my profession and became a concept god, shocking the world with one knife. Author, How Like the Human World. Chapter 435. Outside the Emperor Star System. On an unnamed planet. The Dragon Emperor and the Sky Emperor had fought for dozens of rounds in a short period of time. Fortunately, there is no life on this planet, otherwise this kind of battle would directly kill them. At this time, the planet had opened a crack tens of thousands of kilometers long. Countless magmas spewed out, and endless storms and thunder and lightning began to sweep across the entire planet. This scene is like the end of the world. The whole planet trembled, as if it was emitting a cry. If one person and one dragon continued to fight, it would almost be unable to bear it. However, one man and one dragon will obviously not stop until the winner is decided. Come again. The Dragon Emperor roared angrily and fought with the Sky Emperor again. The Dragon Emperor's true body collided with the 9 true dragons of the Sky Emperor. Boom! The powerful force directly shattered the planet below, and it finally couldn't bear the power of this dragon and broke apart. Countless amounts of gravel soil are flying rapidly through the universe. The entire planet shattered into dozens of pieces and flew around. Dozens of the Dragon Emperor's scales were shattered, revealing the bright red flesh and blood inside. Golden blood flowed from the flesh, slowly dyeing the nearby dragon scales golden. Ahem! Blood overflowed from the Dragon Emperor's mouth, and his body fell back several hundred feet before he stopped. Emperor Kongtian was not feeling well at this time either. The 9 golden dragons hovering around him have become dim and lost their vitality. Emperor Sky covered his chest and forcibly swallowed the blood in his mouth. He would never allow himself to show fatigue. The Sky Emperor forced himself to cheer up and laughed. Ha ha ha, Dragon Emperor. They say your dragon body is unparalleled, but I think it's nothing more than that. Compared with my divine dragon's 9 transformations, Your dragon body is still far behind. Looking at the proud Sky Emperor, the Dragon Emperor shook his head and said with a smile. Stop pretending, you are more injured than me. When Emperor Kongtian heard this, the smile on his face immediately disappeared. Haha, I didn't expect you to see it. The Sky Emperor finally couldn't help it anymore and spat out a mouthful of blood with a loud sound. Compared with the Dragon Emperor in physical form, he was indeed a little behind. I admit that your dragon body is indeed powerful, but I still won this battle. Emperor Kongtian stretched out his hand to wipe the blood from the corner of his mouth and said in a deep voice. The Earth Emperor's book, it's your turn to take action. A book emitting golden light flew out of the Sky Emperor's body and slowly floated above his head. Just now it was a pure physical strength competition. Emperor Kongtian wanted to see how far his physical strength was compared with the Dragon Clan, so he did not use the immortal treasure of the Earthly Emperor's script. Now, it is time to decide the outcome, and the Sky Emperor will no longer hold back. Looking at this fairy treasure, a flash of fear flashed in the Dragon Emperor's eyes. Immortal treasure is the most powerful magic weapon recognized among the innate treasures. There are only less than 10 immortal treasures in existence. Each fairy treasure can greatly enhance the user's strength. With the fairy treasure in hand, fighting across levels is easy. In that battle 1,000 years ago, Emperor Kongtian could fight with this fairy treasure just by reaching the peak of the 8th realm. Now that Emperor Kongtian has broken through to the 9th realm, and with the blessing of immortal treasures, his chances of winning are slim. If it's in the Biwa restricted area, there might be a chance, but here, it's difficult. Dragon Emperor, as long as you surrender to me, I will spare your life today and the Northern Territory will be yours. How about that? Ha ha ha, do you want me to bow to you? Kongtian, do you really think you can defeat this emperor with the immortal treasure? The Dragon Emperor looked up to the sky and let out a long roar before killing the Kongtian Emperor. Even if he died in battle, he would never surrender. Stubborn. Emperor Kongtian's eyes turned cold. The Earth Emperor's book above his head shrouded him with endless divine light. Boom. There was another loud noise, and everything around him was annihilated, not even a speck of dust was left. The Dragon Emperor flew back upside down, with most of his scales falling off and bleeding. The entire starry sky was filled with golden blood. As for the Sky Emperor, the Earth Emperor's book only shook for a moment before returning to its original state. With the blessing of the Earth Emperor's book, Emperor Kongtian only took a few steps back and stabilized his figure. Dragon Emperor, you are at the end of your strength, stop struggling in vain. The Sky Emperor is now sure of victory, and his expression is much calmer. Your Majesty wins. Far away, the first group of people who followed looked at the scene with great excitement. The Dragon Emperor, who had occupied the Biwa restricted area for thousands of years, was defeated and could no longer fight back. Your Majesty is invincible and immortal. The crowd couldn't help but chant. The Dragon Emperor looked at his almost broken body and shook his head. It's still a little bit worse after all. It's a pity that my son and I have only known each other for a few days, and then we have to be separated forever. The Dragon Emperor regained his strength and prepared to launch the final charge. Even if he dies, he cannot bow to the sky. The dignity of the Dragon Clan does not allow him to be enslaved. Dragon Clan, never be a slave. Seeing that the Dragon Emperor still wanted to resist, the Sky Emperor couldn't help but frown. The Emperor of the Earth writes, lock him up and calm down for 2 days. I don't believe you can't tame him. The Earth Emperor's book was quickly opened, and several rays of golden light flew out from the pages, directly covering the Dragon Emperor's body. The Dragon Emperor wanted to break free from the shackles of the light, but he was now seriously injured. Light flashed, and the Dragon Emperor's huge body was absorbed by the Emperor's Book of Earth. The Sky Emperor caught the Earth Emperor's book with one hand and said calmly, Dragon Emperor, I will give you time to think about it. When you think about it clearly, I will let you out. When Suren rushed here, he happened to see the scene where the Dragon Emperor was taken in. Just as he was about to draw the knife, the system in his body that never actively made a sound discovered the mission item, the Emperor's script. If the host chops the Earth Emperor's script into pieces, the mission will not be completed. What? Then how can I save people? The Earthly Emperor's script is now shrouding the Kongtian Emperor, and killing the Kongtian Emperor will definitely kill the Earthly Emperor's script. The host can enter the Earth Emperor's book and erase the mark of recognition of the owner. At that time, the system can directly collect the Earth Emperor's book. Enter the Earth Emperor's book. Suren had a headache. He had to pretend that he could fight but couldn't defeat the Sky Emperor. At this time Jingling said, "I have a way. I just need to open a space to get in. It's just a small fairy treasure. It's easy to get in. Don't forget that this person is an innate treasure. You can still deal with an immortal treasure. Aren't you broken? Are you sure you can deal with a complete fairy treasure?" Suren had some doubts about her ability. "Humph, who are you looking down on? My body is a void mirror. Playing in space, I haven't lost to anyone yet. Just keep an eye on me. As long as you are within 500 meters of him, I can send you to the fairy treasure." Suren nodded. "No problem." Although Jingling was a little naughty, what she said was still credible. Suren held a knife in one hand and flew over the crowd towards the location of Emperor Kongtian. This scene directly caused the people watching the battle to scream in surprise. "Is this kid crazy? Dare you fly to His Majesty at this time?" One person's eyelids twitched and he said in surprise. He wouldn't want to take the opportunity to assassinate His Majesty, would he? Fifth update today. Damn, I'm so tired. I really envy those tentacle monsters who update 10 chapters in one day. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. I changed my profession and became a concept god, shocking the world with one knife. Author, How Like the Human World. Chapter 436. Damn it, he really flew over. This kid is really not afraid of death. Everyone stared at Suren without blinking. Now that the Sky Emperor is seriously injured, anyone who dares to get too close to him will definitely arouse his defense, or even kill them directly. After Emperor Kongtian put the Dragon Emperor into the Emperor's book, he was just about to get up and return to the Emperor's star when he saw Suren flying towards him with a knife. The Sky Emperor didn't give Suren a chance to get close at all, and the golden dragon hovering around instantly flew out and headed straight for Suren. Although the 9 golden dragons were dimmed and looked depressed at this time. But in the opinion of the Sky Emperor, it is more than enough to deal with such young people. The golden dragon passed through the space at an extremely fast speed and reached Suren. Before it had time to attack, Suren had already slashed out. Without any surprise, the golden dragon was cut in half from head to tail. The Sky Emperor and the 9 golden dragons can be said to have the same origin. Now that the golden dragon was destroyed, his mind was severely damaged again. You know, even the Dragon Emperor couldn't destroy his golden dragon. The Sky Emperor groaned, and a stream of blood spilled out of the corner of his mouth again. The look in his eyes when he looked at Suren changed instantly, full of disbelief and confusion. How could he destroy my golden dragon? The golden dragon was destroyed and there would be no chance to rebuild it in a short period of time, and his strength would be greatly reduced as a result. Although he was seriously injured in the battle with the Dragon Emperor, he shouldn't be in a situation where a golden dragon could be destroyed by just a random cat or dog. The jaws of the crowd watching the battle from a distance almost dropped in shock. Holy shit, what's going on? His Majesty's original golden dragon was killed by him. How is this possible? That is the embodiment of the original power that your Majesty has practiced for thousands of years. Who is this kid? Everyone looked at Suren with confusion. This man did not stop after beheading a golden dragon, and was getting closer and closer to their majesty. Escort. I don't know who shouted out. The man who believed in his strength and wanted to show off in front of Emperor Kongtian rushed directly towards Suren. At a glance, at least 1/5 of the onlookers rushed forward. The rest of the people continued to stay where they were and watch. Hey, these idiots can kill His Majesty's original golden dragon. Isn't it easy to kill them? What's the difference between rushing in like this and dying? It's just for the sake of fame. It's a pity that they can't see the situation clearly. Your Majesty is protected by an immortal treasure. No matter how powerful that kid is, he can't kill your Majesty. These people don't have immortal treasures to protect themselves, so the outcome can be imagined. A group of people shook their heads and laughed without moving. Looking at the hundreds of people rushing behind him, Suren turned around and looked back. Aren't these people afraid of death? Just watch the show honestly, Suren will not kill them. But if they dare to take action against themselves, then they are sorry. Suren will not give them a chance to regret it. Suren waved his knife casually and continued to fly towards the location of Emperor Kongtian without looking at them. The hundreds of people who rushed over had already become the dead souls of Suren before they even had time to struggle. The whole process is lightning fast and is completed in the blink of an eye. When the crowd of onlookers saw this scene, they couldn't help but feel chills running down their spines. A chill ran through their bodies from head to toe. A sword, just such a simple and unpretentious sword. There are hundreds of people, and they are all people who can walk in the universe without armor. They are at least in the upper 5 realms. But hundreds of cultivators in the upper 5 realms didn't take a single blow, and they all died under the opponent's sword. Who is he? I don't know, but if you dare to assassinate His Majesty at this time, you must be at least as strong as the 8th realm, right? Someone speculated. Damn, luckily I didn't rush forward impulsively, otherwise I would have died too. One person patted his chest and looked pale. After this stab, no one dared to take a step forward. Everyone has regarded Surenmo as being on the same level as the Dragon Emperor and the Sky Emperor. If they dare to participate in this kind of battle between strong men, they are seeking death. Watching the show honestly is what they want to do. How do you think His Majesty should deal with this person? One person asked. Your Majesty must not use the origin golden dragon now. I think it's time to use the immortal treasure. The others nodded after hearing this. For the present, there is only one way. Unless His Majesty has some unused trump cards. Emperor Kongtian has stood still and has not moved since the original golden dragon was beheaded. Suren was seen killing hundreds of people with his sword again. This made him feel a little afraid. He couldn't see through or see Suren's strength, so he didn't dare to take action rashly. Who are you? Finally, the Sky Emperor spoke. The person who killed you. Suren didn't say much, only 4 words. Ha 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 ha, I have been in the universe for thousands of years, and you are the first one who dares to speak to me so confidently. Really? That will be the last one soon. Suren speeded up and shot away like a ray of light. Although the Sky Emperor was laughing wildly, he was always paying attention to Suren's movements. Seeing Suren flying in, Emperor Kongtian immediately used the Emperor's letter to take Suren away. When Suren saw the light of the Emperor's book light up, he smiled. There is no need to get close now, you can go in directly. The golden light shone on Suren, and an unparalleled suction force directly sucked Suren in. Huh! Emperor Kongtian was stunned when he saw this. He thought it would take a lot of trouble to accept Suren. I didn't expect the whole process to be so smooth. The success made him feel a little incredible. As for breaking the Emperor's book from the inside, that is basically impossible. As a fairy treasure, the earthly Emperor's book can collect all things in the world, and can refine all the things collected into fly ash. Once it is taken in, even if the master of Wandeo Immortal Palace comes in person, he will have to shed his skin before he can come out. This is because the master of Wandeo Immortal Palace possesses immortal treasures, even innate treasures. Humph, I thought he was an extremely powerful man who appeared out of nowhere, but it turns out it's nothing more than that. It seems that I was still too seriously injured, which is why he could easily kill one of my origin golden dragons. I refined him, and using his power should also help me reshape the golden dragon. The Sky Emperor glanced at the people watching in the distance, then changed direction and flew into the deep space of the universe. Emperor Star, he is not planning to go back for the time being, it is not necessarily safe there. He was now seriously injured, and one of his original golden dragons was missing. He had to find a remote and safe place to heal his injuries. He will not return to the Emperor Star until he recovers from his injuries. After the Sky Emperor flew away, the crowd watching could not help but turn pale. If they read it correctly, the Sky Emperor glanced at them before leaving. The meaning of this glance is hard to fathom. I changed my profession and became a concept god, shocking the world with one knife. Author, How Like the Human World. Chapter 437. That's bad. Why do I feel like we are being cared about by His Majesty? We didn't protect him just now. Your Majesty won't settle accounts with your future wife, will you? A group of people said with some fear. Who knows if that kid is useless? I thought he was very powerful. Who would have thought that he would be here? He would be taken over by immortal treasure in no time. Oh, it's over, it's terrible now. Everyone, we have a long way to go. If we have a chance to see you again, I'll run away first. After one person finished speaking, he left without looking back. He did not return to the Emperor Star, but flew in the direction of the nearest Stargate. No one would question the photographic memory of a strong man in the upper ninth realm. Those of them who watched the show without helping, every one of them, was recorded. As for whether Emperor Sky and Sky will retaliate against them for this, it's hard to say. Maybe they won't do anything to them on the surface, but who knows what they are doing secretly. In short, it is not a good thing to be noticed by someone in the Nine Realms. More and more people choose to escape here and fly towards the Stargate. But nearly half of them didn't move. Aren't you going to run away? Someone looked at these inactive people and asked. What are you afraid of? Your Majesty is not so stingy. I don't believe that Your Majesty will take action against us people. Yes, Your Majesty is a broad-minded person. How can he be the kind of villain who holds a grudge? Besides, my family and I are all in the imperial capital. What will happen to my family if we leave? Even if I die, I will not abandon them. After these people finished speaking, they flew towards the Emperor Star. There was only a group of hesitant and confused people left. They don't want to leave, but they are afraid of being liquidated. In short, it's neither right nor wrong to leave. Forget it, let's go back. At worst, we'll hide and see what's going on first. Logically speaking, Your Majesty shouldn't be that concerned about us little characters, right? Deep in the starry sky, on a ruined and uninhabited planet, Emperor Kongtian found a big mountain and punched a cave at the foot of the mountain. Then he checked around with his spiritual sense and made sure that there was no life around him before he walked in. Emperor Kongtian walked into the cave and sealed the entrance. After putting up a shielding circle, he sat down cross-legged and took out hundreds of bloodstones and spread them around. Emperor Kongtian looked at the bloodstones around him and murmured to himself. I will start refining that person after I recover a little. I don't think he will be able to come out of the Earth Emperor's book. Inside the Earth Emperor's book above the Sky Emperor's head. This place is a world of its own, with no edges visible. Looking around, you can only see the rolling land. After Suren came inside, he looked around and then asked the system. Where is the recognition mark you mentioned? Please host to find it yourself. Hey, you're really good at it? Can you at least tell me what that mark looks like? The system sent the appearance of the mark to Suren's mind. It's said to be a mark, but it's actually three big blood-red characters. Yuan Kong Tian. This is the name of the owner of this fairy treasure. It turns out that Emperor Kongtian's surname is Yuan. Suren knew what the mark looked like and no longer stayed where he was. As for where the Dragon Emperor was taken, Suren also needs to find it himself. However, Suren has spiritual consciousness, so he doesn't need to search the ground inch by inch. When Suren was looking for the mark of recognition in the Dragon Emperor and Earth Emperor's books, the entire Northern Territory and the other three major territories were in chaos. The Emperor's star has not sent anyone yet, and the high-level officials have suffered numerous casualties, which has led to many powerful people raising their own troops to fight for power on this planet. Among them, the Northern Territory is the most chaotic. There are flames of war everywhere and corpses can be seen everywhere. With the addition of the Wushuan Alliance, this dispute has become more intense. People from the Wushuan Alliance don't care whether you are a powerful person or a commoner. As long as there is money, they will rob it whenever they meet. If you dare to resist, they will kill you. Anyway, these people are considered their enemies, and they don't have any psychological burden when killing them. There were even some people from the Wushuan Alliance who carried out unprovoked killings just to vent the anger in their hearts. They have been aggrieved for thousands of years and behave with their tail between their legs every day. Now that they finally got the chance, they naturally wouldn't miss this opportunity to vent their anger. These people are going too far. Lu Jin escorted the Sword God and the others to Biwu's star. Sword God and others looked at the chaos on the planet and couldn't help but frown. Who are you, and why don't you spare even ordinary people? The Sword Gods and others stopped a group of Wushuan Alliance men and asked coldly. These men had just sacked a town and were on their way to the next. It's none of your business. Who the hell are you? Lu Jin stepped off the flying boat and explained. Suren. They just mentioned their name and they were brought in. A few minutes later, several people had arrived at the edge of the Biwu penalty area. A group of monsters rushed out and looked at a few people coldly. What he looked down upon the most were those who bullied the weak. Kill them. The leader with the mustache shouted arrogantly. Who is coming? Biwu restricted area, the human race stops. After all, he is a person in the late 7th realm, so it is easy to deal with these people. The demon race and the human race have never been very harmonious, and it is not an exaggeration to say that the two sides have hatred. Dare you interfere with our Wushuan Alliance's affairs? Although Lu Jin recognized Suren as his master, he was only loyal to Suren and was still hostile to the Wushuan Alliance. On the order of my master Suren, I sent these people to the Biwu restricted area. It turns out they are Mr. Su's people. Come with me. Brother, their boat is good, it must be valuable. Seeing that several people were unmoved, the mustachioed captain waved his hand. I didn't expect the people of the Wushuan Alliance to be so virtuous. Before a group of people could take action, Lu Jin had already taken the lead with a cold snort. Hey, it's true. When I saw these people wearing prison uniforms, I thought they were some escaped prisoners, but I didn't expect them to be quite rich. Get away quickly, this flying boat belongs to us. Bah, I almost joined them at first, but luckily I didn't. Unless Suren asked him to put down his hostility, he would kill each of these people on sight. Just one blow caused their souls to die. Lu Jin urged the flying boat to fly towards the restricted area. In the end, he did not escape and was taken into Dongshan prison. During his escape, someone from the Wushuan Alliance contacted him, but he refused. It was precisely for this reason that he was wanted after killing a bully city lord's son on the Emperor's star. The strong man among the people cursed and spat on the corpses of the people. Let's go, this place is not far from the Biwu restricted area. The Sword God and the others looked at each other in surprise. How dare the remnants of the Wushuan alliance act arrogantly in front of me? They did not expect that the monsters in the Biwa restricted area would be so respectful to Suren. The younger brothers stared at the flying boat on which the sword god and his companions were riding with gleaming eyes. The restricted area was closed to air. Lu Jin put away the flying boat and followed these little demons into the restricted area with the sword god and others. I changed my profession and became a concept god, shocking the world with one knife. Author, How Like the Human World. Chapter 438. The group of people walked all the way, and when they reached the depths of the restricted area, they found a big demon waiting here. Are you friends of Mr. Su? Tiger Lord circled around a few people, and finally set his sights on Lu Jin. He always felt like he had seen this person somewhere. No, Suren is my master, not my friend. Lu Jin corrected the mistake in Huzun's words. You. Huzun looked at him and asked doubtfully, who are you? Have I seen you somewhere? Lu Jin smiled slightly. My Excellency, Lu Jin, Minister of Defense of the Aerospace Empire. What? The demons immediately felt like they were facing a formidable enemy and took out their weapons and aimed them at Lu Jin. The Minister of Defense of the Aerospace Empire actually appeared deep in the restricted area. How could they not be surprised? The key is that the Dragon Emperor is not here now. Don't get excited. I told you that I was just sending a few of my lord's friends here on his orders. I don't mean any harm to you. Tiger Lord pressed his hand and signaled the demons to put down their weapons. He could tell that Lu Jin really had no intention of taking action. Who are these? Upon hearing this, the sword god stood up and introduced the identities of several of his people, and then explained what happened. After hearing this, Huzun nodded and said, That's it, welcome. Since he is Mr. Su's friend, he is also our friend. When Yun 11 heard that Suren's friends were coming, she also came over to inquire about Suren's situation. After knowing that Suren had really gone to the imperial capital to find Emperor Kongtian, she couldn't help but look worried. Don't worry, I think Suren went there because he was confident. Seeing Yun 11's worried look, the sword god thought for a moment and roughly guessed the relationship between the two. Well, I hope he comes back safely. By the way, didn't Suren say how to deal with the situation in the Northern Territory? I see there are wars going on everywhere outside, and those from the Wushuan Alliance are taking advantage of the situation and making it difficult for the people to live. The sword god was a little puzzled, even though he had known Suren for a short time. But he didn't think Suren was the kind of person who wouldn't deal with it after causing trouble. After hearing this, Lord Tiger explained, before Mr. Su left, he asked our demon tribe to manage and rectify the Northern Territory. It's just that there is a gap between humans and demons after all. We originally wanted to listen to the Dragon Emperor's opinion, but we didn't expect that the Dragon Emperor also went to the Emperor's star. So the matter was shelved. After hearing this, the sword god couldn't help but frown and said, since Suren intends to let you take over the Northern Territory, he naturally trusts you Monster Clan. Now the northern region is in flames, and many people have been displaced. If you don't take action, you don't know how many people will die. Compared to this, what does that little gap mean? Master Lu, what do you think? The sword god looked at Lu Jin, who had been silent. Since the master intends to let the demon clan take over the Northern Territory, I will naturally not object. If you want to take action, I can help. Hearing this, the sword god and others looked happy. Monster lords, what do you mean? When Tiger Lord and the other demon lords were still hesitating, the Ice Dragon King in human form came out. You're so hesitant, I'll kill you. My master's business is my business. Starting today, our demon clan will march into the Northern Territory. With the Ice Dragon King taking the lead, Tiger Lord and the other demon lords would no longer have to struggle. Anyway, there is no difference between this master's opinion and the Dragon Emperor's opinion. I, I also want to go out and join you. Yoon 11 raised her hand. This was the last thing she thought she could do to help Suren. In that case, without further ado, let's set off now. A group of monsters and a few humans formed an army that ran rampant in the northern territory, under the leadership of the demon masters and Lu Jin. Soon the war on the entire Biwa Star was suppressed and calmed down. At this time, no one in Biwa Star could be their opponent. The people of the Wushuan Alliance were all dead and injured, and the rest of them all fled here. After taking over Biwa Star, the monster soldiers were divided into 8 groups and each went to other planets to suppress them. It only took less than 3 days for the entire northern territory to be conquered by the demon clan. Inside the combat command center, as Lu Jin was the former Minister of Defense, the commanding work naturally fell on his head, and at this time, he was issuing combat orders. In the east and west regions, Lord Tiger and Lord Leopard will each lead an army to suppress them. Your strength is enough to suppress them. As for the southern territory, I will personally lead people there. Either we don't fight this time, or we defeat all 4 regions. At this time, someone worried. But the main force of the Wushuan Alliance has already occupied the southern territory, and the leader of the southern territory has been killed. Will it be dangerous for us to go there like this? Don't worry, I can still mobilize the air and space defense forces. Before departure, I will go to the Emperor Star and bring the airspace mothership fleet to the southern region. After hearing this, everyone's eyes lit up. They almost forgot that Lu Jin also had the identity of Minister of Defense of the Aerospace Empire. With the help of the space carrier fleet, our chances of winning will be much higher. Okay, everyone, get ready to go. Remember my lord's request, do not disturb civilians, otherwise you will be punished by military law. On the main star of the southern territory of the Sky and Sky Empire, people from the Wushuan Alliance were gathering together for a meeting. Those monsters in the Biwa restricted area are simply abominable. Not only did they seize the land, they also killed many of us. Now our people have been driven out of the entire northern territory. I don't think they have any intention of stopping. Maybe they will take action in the east and west regions as well. Supreme Elder, do we want to kill those who came to avenge us? Everyone looked at the Supreme Elder on the main seat. Only if the Supreme Elder takes action personally can they have a chance to regain their territory. The Supreme Elder pondered for a while and then shook his head gently. Inappropriate. Our purpose is to seize resources, not to seize territory. There is news from the Emperor Star that the Sky Emperor has defeated the Dragon Emperor and sealed him into the immortal treasure. As long as Emperor Kongtian dies, these 4 realms will have nothing to do with us. So what if these demon clans occupy the territory? They will not be taken back in the end. Besides, after the Dragon Emperor dies, these monsters will also die. We don't have to fight with them. Everyone was shocked when they heard the news. Has the Dragon Emperor been defeated? It seems that no one under this starry sky can be the opponent of the Sky Emperor. Haha, yes. The Dragon Emperor was unwilling to cooperate with our Wushuan Alliance, and ultimately ended up in defeat. I would like to see the expressions of the Dragon Emperor's subordinates when they learn the news. If they dare to kill people from our Wushuan Alliance, they will have to pay the price. No one in the Wushuan Alliance is unhappy and enjoys misfortune. Supreme Elder, didn't Suren also go to the Emperor Star? How is he? When everyone heard this name, they all looked at the old man in the first seat. Upon hearing this, the Supreme Elder of the Wushuan Alliance gently shook his head again and sighed. Suren killed one of Emperor Kongtian's original golden dragons, but it was still included in Emperor Kongtian's immortal treasure, the Emperor's Book. I'm lucky enough to have seen that fairy treasure. I can't get in or out. Suren may not survive more than 3 days inside. Everyone sighed when they heard this. Suren has always been the target of their unparalleled alliance's efforts to win over. Unexpectedly, he would die at the hands of Emperor Kongtian. Oh, what a pity. Why can't such a young genius not practice for a few more days before challenging Emperor Kongtian? You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. I changed my profession and became a concept god, shocking the world with one knife. Author, How Like the Human World. Chapter 439. The Demon Clan army in the Northern Territory had just finished reorganizing and was about to set off, when they saw a messenger running towards them quickly. Report. My lords, something big has happened. The messenger knelt down on one knee, looking horrified. Everyone looked at him in confusion, and Lu Jin was the first to ask. Why are you so panicked? Back to the commander-in-chief, news came from the Emperor Star. The Dragon Emperor and Suren were suppressed by the Kongtian Emperor and included in the immortal treasure. Now their life or death is uncertain. What? Hearing the news, the demons were shocked. The Sword God and others also looked tense. How so? Suren Yun 11 felt dizzy and fell down. Seeing this, the others quickly helped her to rest. The Ice Dragon King was also shocked when he heard this, and he no longer looked as careless as usual. It's impossible. Even if my father will be defeated, Master will not be defeated. There must be something we don't know about this. After hearing the news, the demon army all looked sad and their morale was at a loss. What can we do? If Lord Dragon Emperor dies, what can we do if we take down the 4 regions? Will it be taken back by the Sky Emperor in the end? It's over. Without the protection of Lord Dragon Emperor, we can't survive. What a slap in the face. Let's go quickly, we can't stay here any longer. Listening to the negative voices around him, Lu Jin stood up in time and shouted coldly. Quiet. I can feel the state of my lord. Nothing happened to him. Perhaps our lord and the Dragon Emperor are working together to fight against the Sky Emperor. The matter has not yet been resolved. How dare you shake the morale of the army? But. No buts. Whoever dares to shake the morale of the army again will be killed. The attack on the other 3 regions is postponed and we will make plans after the results of the matter are known. After Lu Jin finished speaking, he looked at the backbone of the group. Come with me, everyone, and let's reformulate a battle plan. Everyone and the monsters looked at each other and nodded slightly. If the leaders like them are in chaos, the entire army will completely collapse. Inside the tent, the human race and the demon race sat on both sides, with Lu Jin standing first on the right. The main seat was reserved for Suren, and no one sat on it. Commander-in-chief, is what you just said true? Everyone thought that Lu Jin just said this to stabilize the morale of the army, so they wanted to confirm it immediately. Lu Jin nodded and looked at the Ice Dragon King on the first seat on the left. You should also be able to feel the Master's state, right? The Ice Dragon King nodded. The Master is indeed fine, but I don't know what he is doing. After confirming that Suren was fine, everyone relaxed a little. 3 days have passed since the battle outside the Emperor's Star. If Suren is still fine, it means that the Sky Emperor has not been able to completely suppress Suren. Then things will take a turn for the better. I will arrange manpower to keep an eye on the Emperor's Star in the past 2 days. If there is any trouble, I will notify everyone as soon as possible. Everyone discussed for a while before they dispersed. However, the conquest of the other 3 domains was also put on hold. If Suren doesn't produce results for a day, they won't be able to take action. This is not a war between mortals. People like them cannot control the final outcome of the battle. In the end, it still has to be seen whether Emperor Kongtian or Suren and Dragon Emperor will win. In the Book of the Emperor of the Earth, Suren searched for 3 days and 3 nights, but could not find the mark of recognition. He was so angry that he almost struck it with a knife. If it wasn't necessary to obtain the emperor's letter, Suren would have taken action long ago. Suren, hurry up, fly to your right. Jingling, who had been silent until now, suddenly became excited. What's wrong? Can you feel where the mark of recognition is? No. No. Jingling was so excited that she stuttered. I feel my body in pieces. You help me find it? After I merge, I will definitely help you find the master mark in this space. Suren didn't say much after hearing this, turned around and flew in the direction pointed by Jingling. Help her find her body fragments, this is what Suren promised her. What's more, she can help herself find the mark of recognition. Outside the Earth Emperor's book, after 3 days and 3 nights of recovery, the Sky Emperor's injuries finally recovered somewhat. The surrounding bloodstones were also absorbed into powder. Ha ha ha, okay. The Sky Emperor stood up and looked at his physical condition before laughing several times. This place is still too barren. With my current strength, I am no longer afraid of others. I'll go back to the cave heaven paradise of Emperor Star to recover all my injuries first. The Sky Emperor glanced at the Earth Emperor's book suspended above his head, confirmed that there was no problem, then stood up and flew towards the Emperor Star. Outside the Emperor Star, the figure of the Sky Emperor flashed past. The cave heaven paradise on the outskirts of the imperial capital is guarded all year round. No one is allowed to enter except the Sky Emperor. After the figure of Emperor Kongtian appeared outside Dongtian Paradise, countless guards immediately surrounded him. It's your majesty. After a while, all the light returned to her body. For a time, the whole country celebrated and the whole country cheered. Found it? Okay, don't get too excited yet. Help me find the master mark. Oh, by the way, find the Dragon Emperor first. Jingling was extremely excited at this time. It could be seen that she had been waiting for this day for a long time. The voice of the mirror spirit sounded. Suren looked over and saw that the body of the mirror spirit had begun to take shape. It could barely be seen that it was a quarter of a small round mirror. And inside the Emperor's book above his head. The Dragon Emperor dared to provoke His Majesty and has been executed. A dazzling light lit up, and a broken shard-like glass appeared in the middle of the mountain. This place is actually just a small world and has nothing to do with the real cave heaven paradise. Suren had followed Jingling's guidance and found himself under a mountain peak, forcibly transforming a small world into a paradise. Haha, I finally found a piece of my body. Ah. Haha, don't worry, now I have a quarter of my strength. In front of my space technique, nothing in this space can hide. Suren, right in this mountain, split this mountain. Follow me. But Emperor Kongtian paved the road with spiritual stones, decorated it with bloodstones, made rivers of spiritual liquid, and planted various spiritual trees and immortal grasses. Your Majesty is fine. The two fragments collided and merged together, and within a moment, they had merged into one body again. The mirror spirit transformed into its true body and flew out of Suren's pet space towards the fragment. Suren nodded and split the entire mountain into two with one knife. Kowtow to your Majesty. The news that Emperor Sky and Sky had returned to the Emperor Star spread quickly as if he had grown wings. The Sky Emperor sat here cross-legged, quickly repairing his injuries. Suren was afraid that the system would swallow up the Earth Emperor's book and swallow up the Dragon Emperor as well. Well, I will stay in seclusion for 3 days. I will keep an eye on this place and won't allow anyone to enter. The mirror spirit body emits countless rays of light that bounce and reflect in this space. That would be embarrassing. Inside the cave heaven paradise. The guards knelt on the ground. Suren, I finally found a piece of my body, thank you. The gate of cave heaven paradise opened wide, and Emperor Kongtian stepped out and disappeared. Yes, Your Majesty. I changed my profession and became a concept god, Shocking the world with one knife. Author, How Like the Human World. Chapter 440. In a low-lying area in the Emperor's Book of Earth, a snow-white giant tens of thousands of meters long fell inside. The surface of the dragon's body was already covered in scars. Above the giant dragon, 5 golden rays of light turned into substantial chains, locking the dragon tightly. It seems that this emperor is going to die here. The dragon emperor sighed in his heart. It's not that he's afraid of death, he just misses his son a little. Father and son had just reunited, but they didn't expect to be separated forever. Brother Dragon Emperor. A familiar voice sounded in the Dragon Emperor's ears. Huh? Have I already had auditory hallucinations? Why do I feel like I heard Suren's voice? Brother Dragon Emperor, are you okay? The voice sounded again. The Dragon Emperor opened his eyes and saw Suren's figure appearing in front of him. Suren. How will you be here? It seems that this emperor not only had auditory hallucinations, but also hallucinations. Keng. Suren cut off the 5 chains with one stroke of his sword. After feeling that he could move, the Dragon Emperor raised his huge head, stared at the dragon eyes and said in disbelief. Brother Suren? Is it really you? Well, it's me. Sorry, I'm late. The Dragon Emperor moved his body and after looking around, his original joyful mood dimmed instantly. They are still in the Emperor's Book of Earth. Alas, were you also accepted into the Emperor's Book by Kong Tian? It's a pity that even if I regain the strength of my heyday, I won't be able to take you out together. Suren shook his head when he heard this. I came in on my own initiative, not by him. What? You came in on your own initiative? Why? I can accept this Earth Emperor's book, but can you still move around? Jingling had already told Suren the location of the recognition mark, and it was just the last step. The Dragon Emperor nodded. Don't worry, even though I'm seriously injured, I'll be fine if I move. That's good, you come with me, we will collect this Earth Emperor's book, and then we will deal with the Sky Emperor. The Dragon Emperor still couldn't believe it at this time. He entered the Emperor's Book of the Earth and included the Emperor's Book of the Earth that recognized his master. What kind of operation was this? Even if you want to snatch someone else's magic weapon, you still need to kill the other person and then erase the other person's mark of recognition. Did Suren reverse the order? However, the Dragon Emperor saw that Suren was confident and didn't ask any more questions. Under the guidance of the Mirror Spirit, Suren took the Dragon Emperor and quickly flew to the location of the recognition mark. Inside the cave Heaven Paradise. The moment the 5 golden chains locking the Dragon Emperor were cut off, the Sky Emperor was awakened. Emperor Kongtian took the Emperor's book and looked at it with some uncertainty. Who is this person? Why can he even cut off the divine chain of order in the Earth Emperor's book? He originally thought that Suren could kill one of his origin golden dragons because he was seriously injured. But now, things are obviously not that simple. The Sky Emperor finally became alert. No, I always feel an ominous premonition. He must be refined first. The Sky Emperor holds the Earth Emperor's book in both hands and pours power into the Earth Emperor's book. In the Earth Emperor's book, the color of the sky and the earth suddenly changed, and thunder thundered. A series of inexplicable and terrifying auras went straight towards Suren. The Dragon Emperor was shocked when he saw this. No, Kongtian is preparing to refine you. Before Suren could react, Jingling first shot out a ray of light that covered Suren and the Dragon Emperor. Don't worry, I will hide you in the void, he can't find you. The Sky Emperor looked into the Earth Emperor's book with a puzzled expression. The figures of Suren and Dragon Emperor disappeared instantly. No matter how he used the power of the Emperor's Book of Earth, he could not find the two of them. Why is this happening? This is impossible. No matter how powerful the concealment technique is, it will be illuminated in the Earth Emperor's book, Unless. Emperor Sky and Sky thought of the only possibility. Unless it's the legendary space treasure, the void mirror. Time is revered, space is king, cause and effect cannot come out, and fate is king. These 4 sentences represent the 4 innate treasures, and they are the only ones that can crush the immortal treasures. The only thing with such concealment methods is the void mirror that represents space. Thinking of this, the Sky Emperor was finally afraid. With the void mirror, it can be said that you are in an invincible position. It's only because the other party attacks you, but you can't find where the other party is. No, I will never sit still and wait for death. A crazy idea came to Emperor Kongtian's mind, and he wanted to sacrifice the Emperor's Book of Earth. This is an indiscriminate attack. No matter how well it is hidden, it will always be within the space of the earthly Emperor's book. The entire Earth Emperor's book self-destructs, and when the space collapses, the people inside will eventually be harmed. However, if you want to destroy an immortal treasure, you will also suffer backlash. If you are unlucky, you will die first due to the backlash of the fairy treasure. However, Emperor Sky and Sky obviously won't think so much. He still has a way out, which is his trump card that has been hidden for thousands of years. The Emperor of Sky and Sky held the Emperor's Book of Earth in his hand, with a look of madness in his eyes. So what about the void mirror? If you can, don't come out. In the book of the Emperor of the Earth, the space has begun to shake. The Dragon Emperor looked around and frowned. Kongtian is crazy, he wants to destroy the Emperor's Book of Earth. Suren also noticed signs of collapse in the surrounding space, and couldn't help but ask Xiang Jingling. Mirror Spirit, how far is it? Almost there. Ahead is a plane. Because of the trembling of space, cracks have appeared in the earth. Arrive. Jingling stopped. Suren looked ahead and said doubtfully. There's nothing. Hidden, look at me. A streak of colored light shone over the plane. The 3 big blood-red characters Yuan Kongtian appeared there. The mark of recognition is finally found. Suren muttered in his mind, System, don't pretend to be dead, take action quickly. The erasure of the mark has begun. As the sound of system machinery sounded, the 3 large blood-red characters above the plane were slowly fading. Outside the Emperor's Book of Earth, the Emperor Kongtian looked condensed. What happened? He found that his control over the earthly Emperor's book was weakening, and if this continued, he would not even be able to make the earthly Emperor's book self-destruct. It is not my magic weapon and cannot be caused to self-destruct unless you destroy it. However, this is an immortal treasure, and with his current strength, there is no way to destroy an immortal treasure. Emperor Sky and Sky wanted to regain control of the Emperor's Book of Earth, but found that the immortal treasure no longer obeyed his command. In the Book of the Emperor of the Earth, the 3 big blood-red characters Yuan Kongtian have been completely removed. Suren's operation made the Dragon Emperor stunned for a moment. Is this even fucking okay? Just go to someone else's fairy treasure and erase their mark of recognition? The key is that Kongtian is still alive. Is there any more royal method? Take it. Although the earthly Emperor's book is a good fairy treasure, it is a mission item after all, and Suren cannot stop doing missions for it. The collection of the Emperor's Book of Earth has been completed. When the sound of the system sounded, Suren and Dragon Emperor had already appeared in the cave heaven paradise of Emperor Kongtian. As for the earthly Emperor's book, it disappeared. With 6 eyes facing each other, the atmosphere in Dongtian paradise suddenly became solemn.